Hey, everybody, and welcome back. You guys, I am so excited that it is the end of the year and not for like the normal stuff. I'm a little stressed because I know that my kids will be home soon for November break. And then, of course, we'll have Christmas break. But what I'm really excited about is we have a lot of new projects going on. And I know you're like, do you really need any more projects? But, I think I do. I actually started a podcast for YouTube, and I'm really excited. And as soon as I get more details about when that's released, I will let y'all know. But I also have a tool in the works that could literally be a game changer for meal planning. And I am so excited, and I've got a ton of work to do. But as I have more information, I will let you know. But so let's get into our menu this week. It is a good one, I think. So let's look at it. Okay, so we are doing 6 dinners and dessert for under $70. And honestly, a lot of these are so simple, okay? And there is some room for us to kind of pre-cook and pre-prep along the way. So if you've got just a ton of stuff going on, you got a crazy week, I know my kids have like a chorus concert coming up, and that always just throws, your evening off because you don't have the time or you have to eat at an earlier time than usual. So I think this is like the perfect week for super busyness. So let's look at the grocery list. So the grocery list this week is pretty standard, but I bet you there's a bunch of stuff that you probably already have because some of this is actually kind of carryover from other weeks. So you may already have like the fried onions or the buffalo or the hot sauce, so definitely make sure that you check the shopping list and shop your pantry, shop your freezer, your fridge first. Now, this week we did our prices out of Buffalo, New York. It was a super Walmart. Our total came out to $67.78. Now, before I forget, down below in the description, there is a link to my website where you can see all of the slides as well as do a free PDF. And the PDF includes the shopping list and all of the recipes. And I try to get it as few pages as possible so you don't have to print out a ton. But I have had a lot of people tell me that they have like a recipe binder or like a meal planning binder. And I think that's awesome because you just have, all these weeks ready to go. And then, you don't have to think about it. So let's get into before I forget, when you go to the website, sign up for the email newsletter. It comes out on Fridays. It'll let you know when we have a new video, when we have a new menu, and all of the content we've been working on this week. So super, super good. Now, the first recipe this week, we're going to do some Philly style sandwiches with some homemade fries and some green beans. Now, what I love about this is a style, okay, where basically it's going to be ground meat with some onions and some peppers, and we're going to add some cream cheese. Oh my goodness, it makes it so creamy and it just takes it up such a notch. But here's the thing. We're going to do it with ground turkey this week because what was the most cost effective. But you know what? If you already have some ground pork or some ground beef or even ground chicken, totally can use that. So don't get stuck on the proteins. Use what you have. Use what's on sale. A lot of grocery stores are putting, different meats on sale right now, and they're actually some decent prices. So definitely keep an eye out. And then we're just going to do this in some hot dog buns. And then, I love doing homemade fries or homemade potato wedges. And I would just do these in the air fryer, or if you want, just do it in your oven. Now that it's cooler temperatures and stuff, I don't mind using my oven as much. And then one thing on the cream cheese, we're just going to use half a block of cream cheese, and we're going to use the rest of the cream cheese for 2 other recipes. So keep that in mind. Don't use a whole block. Okay, if you've been around for a while, you know that I'm a huge fan of like the chicken bacon ranch flavor, and that is no exception this week. But what I like about this dish is it is one of those where you basically assemble it and then you throw it in the oven. And because we're going to throw it in the oven, why don't we just go ahead and cook off some other chicken breasts as well? And that's going to save us time. So this is one of those where I would do the chicken breasts where you cut them in half. And then if they're still really big, cut them in half again. So each breast makes 4 pieces. And then you put that in a pan, and we're going to top it with some ranch dressing. And then we'll have mozzarella cheese and bacon bits on top. And it is so yummy. And it actually ends up having a little bit of like a gravy once it's fully cooked, when the chicken juice and the ranch kind of mix together. So I always like to serve it with mashed potatoes so that we can have that little gravy on the mashed potatoes, but that's totally up to you. We're going to use baby carrots this week. Now, in the past, I've always used the regular full-size carrots, but at my local stores, it's funny. You get a bag, like a pound bag of carrots, and it used to be you would get like 6 or 7 carrots in there, medium size. Now I'm finding bags where it's 2 carrots. 2 carrots equals a pound. And that just means it's a lot of work as far as like peeling it and chopping the ends off. So we're going to go simple. Do your baby carrots, give them a quick rinse, and then we're just going to roast them, because if you haven't tried roasted carrots, it's completely different than like sauteed or steamed carrots or even raw carrots. It's a completely different flavor, and it's really yummy. And I have found that I really like, maybe not with this dish because we're already going to use ranch, but one of my favorites is roasting them with a little bit of the ranch powder seasoning. I probably wouldn't do it this night, but I would definitely do some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder. Super yummy. And honestly, I would just go ahead and do the whole pound, and then you can have carrots for another dish, or if you know that you like to eat baby carrots, you could obviously just do half a pound and then have some to munch on. So super easy. Okay, this is another one of those meals where you can pre-prep this. So maybe you have a night, like when you're doing the chicken, where you have a little bit more time. You can totally go ahead and pre-cook the ground sausage. And then we're also going to need 3 cups of white rice. And that formula works out to 1 cup dry white rice and 2 cups of water. You could do that like in a rice cooker or just on the stove. But this is one of those things that when I had time ahead of time, I would just go ahead and cook off the sausage, brown it up, and then just drain off the excess grease. And then same thing with the rice. I would cook it, let it cool, put it in a Tupperware, and put it in the fridge. So that way, when it came to this night, all I have to do is really just mix together the ground sausage, the rice. You could mix your peas in with it and do it full on casserole style, but you know that my kids are not going to like that. So I usually do the peas separately and just microwave them per the directions, just to get that steaming going on. But so you've got your sausage and your cooked rice in a bowl. We're going to mix in the cream of celery, the sour cream, and the milk, and just mix it all together. Put it in a greased baking sheet. I use one of those big like lasagna pans. And then we're going to bake it for about 20 minutes. Pull it out, top it with the fried onions, and then bake it another 10 minutes. Now, I will say that because we're not going to if you're not cooking the ground sausage that night, it gets a little cold. So you could microwave it to get some of that coolness off of it, the cold, and then just use a fork and kind of break it up because it might all want to clump together. But that's up to you. I would just play this by ear, but you might have to add an extra 10 minutes if everything you're using is starting off cold. But this is so yummy. Oh my goodness. And like I said, if you have picky eaters like I do, you can keep the peas separate, or just why even bother messing up another pan? Just mix it all together. Okay, so I think it was last year that I first had that buffalo chicken dip, like the hot, creamy chicken dip. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with it. My husband and I actually like fight over it because if I start eating out of the bowl first, there's like very little left for him, and that bugs him. I'm not sure why. So, anyway, we are going to combine that buffalo chicken hot dip with some elbow noodles, and boom, we have got buffalo mac and cheese, and it is, oh my goodness, good. Now, keep in mind here that we're going to use 6 ounces of cream cheese, so it's almost a full block. We're doing that because we're having 3 recipes that use cream cheese, so we're just going to shave it off so we don't have to buy a third box. But you know what? If you already have a bunch of cream cheese, or if it's really, really cheap in your area, you can go ahead and use the full amount. So it's up to you. Now, this is just super, super yummy. And if you have your own way of making the buffalo chicken dip, you can totally do that. I know some people, instead of using ranch dressing, they like to use blue cheese dressing. They like to add some blue cheese crumbles or some jalapeno peppers. Those are all really good options. My kids are not going to eat that, so we do it kind of more on the plain side. And then we use a mild hot sauce, and then honestly, what we can do is when you make it up, don't add like the hot sauce part to it yet. And then go ahead and mix that with some noodles and then do a separate little stirring with the hot sauce so that way adults can have it more spicy. That's what I do is I just make a little batch for the kids and the rest I do it more spicy. Now, really, when it comes to this, so you know how when you boil your pasta and then you drain it and that pan is really, really hot. So I have done this both ways where you go ahead and you add the cream cheese, the like the buffalo or the hot sauce and the ranch dressing in that pan and get it all melty. And then you just slowly add in your shredded cheese to make your sauce. Now, I don't know if y'all are like me, but I have the tendency to have kids have meltdowns while I'm cooking. Okay. And so when I tried to do this on the stove and I walked away, I ended up scorching the cheese. So to combat that, what I did is I figured out that I could just microwave this in a microwave safe bowl for 30 seconds, give it a stir, and just keep doing 30 seconds and a stir until you get that like nice bubbly consistency that you can then mix with your elbow noodles. So if your sauce, because sometimes it gets a little thick, you can add a little milk to thin it out, but it's really going to depend on like how thick your hot sauce and your ranch dressing is. So you want to play that by ear because we've had some ranch dressings that are super, super thick and then others that are really kind of thin. So just kind of give it an eyeball. And if it's just not smooth enough and it's not coating everything, add in a little milk, just like you would with mac and cheese, and it'll work. And I love this. Now, if I was making this for myself, I would actually just go ahead and throw the steamed broccoli in and just have one big casserole style. But of course, with my kids, we got to keep the veggies separate. So that's totally an option if you have picky eaters as well. Now, every week, you always have that one night that you have, what do they call it? They have no spoons, they have no energy, they just want dinner, and we're hopefully not doing frozen pizza. Not anything against frozen pizza. I'm just saying that frozen pizza is on the very bottom of my energy list. So I always try to aim above frozen pizza, but I always have one in my freezer just in case. And this is what I would call one step above. So I really like these cheese ravioli, and it's actually a very big bag. The bag from Walmart, I want to say, is like 25 ounces, and a lot of other places you'll see it's only like 16 or 18 ounces. So you get a good amount of ravioli. And when you boil it, it only takes like 4 or 5 minutes, but I have found that it actually tastes better when you bake it. Okay. Kind of has a little bit of a gummy taste when you boil any of these raviolis, but when you bake it, I don't know, it tastes better. So what I do is I take this chopped spinach and I just kind of smash it on my countertop and kind of break it up because it's usually like a big chunk. And then I'm going to put it in a bowl with my pesto Alfredo sauce. This is that new stuff from Prego, and I really like it. This is the roasted garlic one, but they do have some other ones that are more heavy on the pesto flavor. And I was worried that my kids would not like the greenness of it, but it did not faze them at all. They really liked it. So once you mix the chopped spinach, and I haven't even steamed it, I just do it when it's cold. And then I add just a little tiny bit of water if it's too thick. And then on another baking dish, like a lasagna pan, I spray it first and then I dump all my ravioli. If you want to get super technical and like lay it out like you would a tater tot casserole, that's fine. I just kind of make it even. And then I pour the spinach and the sauce over it. And I just give it a little bit of a stir just to make sure everything's coated. and then I'm going to put it in the oven for about 20-30 minutes. And then I pull it out, I top it with some cheese, do another 10 minutes. And at that 10-minute mark is when I'm going to take all of the leftover hot dog buns we have from the Philly cheesesteak style night. And I'm just going to make either some garlic toast or some cheesy toast, something along those lines to kind of go with it. And this is like one of those meals that I can put in the oven, put a timer on, and then go help with homework. I don't have to like be standing there the whole night. And sometimes that can make the huge difference about what gets done. So I would say this is definitely a plan B meal, but it's super tasty too. I know I always tend to include like a rice bowl, but y'all, I seriously love rice bowls. Seriously. Now, this is one of those where we could have pre-cooked the chicken and just used like shredded chicken or chicken that's just been chopped up into chunks. And we're going to season it with some taco seasoning. We are going to make a cup of rice. So if you wanted to do this one before you do the recipe that calls for cooked rice, you could easily just make one big batch of 2 dry cups of white rice and 4 cups of water, and then save half of it for that other dish. That's totally an option to save time. And then we're basically to our cooked chicken, we're gonna add some drained and rinsed black beans. I swear if you don't rinse them, they have that metallic taste. We're gonna use a can of corn that we drain all the juice off of, and then we're gonna use a can of tomatoes with chili. I do not drain this one because I find a lot of the flavors in that juice. You could also, if you had some salsa in your fridge, you could totally use that instead. It's a great way to use up some salsa that maybe you don't necessarily love the flavor with chips, but when you cook it off, sometimes it kind of adjusts the taste. So that's great. And then we're just going to pile our chicken and our veggies on top of our rice. And we'll do some shredded cheese and a little sour cream. And it is, oh my goodness, good. Now, I will say that sometimes, like at Walmart, I just bought, I think it's a 5-pack of avocados. This is a great one to throw some avocado, maybe have some fresh tomatoes, like whatever you would want on a burrito or a taco, you could totally add it in here. Now, if you hadn't noticed, I really like recipes where you can change things up and make a completely different dish. And I'm finding more and more of these dessert recipes where basically once you have the formula down, you can change up the flavors. So keep that in mind. We are going to do some banana pudding cups. Now, my kids, we have these little cups and they just really like those size for dessert because then it's enough to get like a good taste of it, but it's not like overwhelming like a big old piece of cake. So we've had this 2 nights already this week, and we still have enough for a third night. So this actually does stretch pretty far. But here's the kicker. So we're going to make banana pudding. But instead of just doing the banana pudding mix and milk, we're going to start using, we're going to use 6 ounces of cream cheese. Now, like I said, if you got a really good deal on cream cheese, you could totally use a whole block. But so we didn't have to buy a third block, I just cut this back a little bit to 6 ounces. Now, this cream cheese needs to be soft. I'm talking about go ahead and pull that cream cheese when you start dinner, let it sit out for an hour and get super soft, because if it's still kind of cold, it's going to make your pudding kind of lumpy or gritty where it doesn't fully mix. So we start with the cream cheese and we're going to slowly add half a cup of milk. If you've ever made like a cream cheese frosting where it feels like you're almost thinning out the cream cheese, but you're also whipping it at the same time. Now, I did this in my stand mixer, but you could easily do this with a hand mixer with the 2 beaters. Totally will work. Once half a cup has been absorbed into the cream cheese and it's nice and soft and fluffy and it's still pretty smooth, make sure you get out as many lumps as possible. Then you're going to go ahead and add in your banana pudding mix. And then I just kind of dump the rest of the milk in there, but you could do it slow. And then you really just want to whip it for about 2 minutes. And you'll notice it kind of all of a sudden starts to get a little bit thicker. And that's what you want. Once it starts to thicken, I scraped it all out of the bowl and then put it in a Tupperware and put it in the fridge. I would say you want to let it fully thicken in the fridge for at least an hour. And then what we did is we just laid out these little cups. And at the very bottom, I crushed up a little bit of the vanilla wafer cookies, topped it with some pudding. And then I have one daughter that bananas are very starchy, so they're hard to swallow. So I actually, instead of slicing the bananas, I mashed the bananas. So I put a little bit of mashed banana on top of the pudding, and then I put some whipped cream, and then I put a little bit more crumbles of the cookie, and it was so good. It really thickens up the pudding. I Cheesecake is kind of a stretch, but it does have a more creaminess. Now, next time I make this, I may add like a little splash of vanilla because I think that'll make it a little bit more cheesecakey, if you will. But I'm already thinking about doing this with like a lemon pudding mix, maybe a butterscotch. My daughter really wants me to do it with chocolate. It just has a really good consistency. I know it's totally cheater banana pudding, but hey, it doesn't really matter as long as your kids love it. And they actually like dipping the vanilla wafers into it and eating it like a dip. So that's a good option as well. So if you've made it all the way to this point in the video, I just really want you to know that I appreciate you so much. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you because these last couple weeks, I have been getting some really awesome comments, some messages, like some private messages, even some emails. And what really just blew me away is the fact that you guys are sharing the menus. Like you're sending it to your friends that are having a rough time. I know some people are volunteers at different like food banks or food giveaways, and they're letting people know about different options that are out there. And that's just amazing to me because I mean, I have this mission to try to help people feed their families on a low budget. And the fact that you guys are kind of like stretching it out and affecting more people is just, I mean, seriously, it's mind blowing. And so I'm just blown away. So don't forget to go check out the website. Go find us on Facebook. Just search Lodo Family. Um, Check out our meal planning group, which has a link below. We're going to start a new series on the group where it's going to be like a little challenge. Like if this, I'm going to give you a scenario and then you tell me what you would make for dinner. And I'm hoping that this can kind of unlock some creativity and really get you guys thinking how you can change up your meal planning and do some fun challenges with that. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. It is always a pleasure to talk to you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you later. Bye.